validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. I see Daniel Barris made it in here during the intro. Special shout out to Steven. He got here just in the nick of time. Excuse me. Um, yeah, I started 10 minutes late today. So just when I keyed it off, you was like, hey, let me check and see if they in there today. Yeah, you know we're gonna be here eventually. Uh we're live 7 nights a week. We do not let the sun rise without going live, but we don't always start on time, and that's why we ask you guys to like and subscribe and then hit the notification button so that you're notified when we go on time. Assuming that YouTube is gonna let you know that we're going on time. And then mash those reaction buttons while you're here. Show the algorithm. We had a lot of people here yesterday. It actually impressed me when I got off. I was like, wow, this still going. But then also double check the membership. Go take a look and see what's going on because it is very beneficial for you to go and see what's going on with the membership. I found out real quick. Short story announcement. They're back at war. I just been telling y'all about it. They're back at war. So apparently Iran started blowing up some ships. I believe 14 died, 72 injured. And then the United States started blowing up Iran. So they're back to conflict. Um, I don't know when it's going to end, but just it's a win. We were thinking that the gas was going to go down a little bit further before they could finish filtering the cheap shit. It's back to being expensive. because they actually attacked some oil tankers. So who's going through there now? Uh, it is what it is. So we're gonna start seeing we're gonna continue to see the same gas prices or higher until the conflict has resolved itself. So I'm debating on what all I'm going to be doing for Monday night show because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We cover different topics every night of the week. Um, Sundays, questions and comments from the fans. You guys have questions, I got comments to help you guys understand the thing, different ways to do the things that you do. Then we have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays, business and politics, where Monday we talk about different ways that politics negatively impacts your ability to make, save, and invest money. Then we talk about on Tuesdays, we talk about different ways to make money, save money, invest money, different ways to look at money. We talk about uh, different ways that you make decisions that actually indirectly or directly impacts your money. And then we start talking about on Wednesdays. Yesterday, we discussed different countries around the world for you guys to invest and potentially live in. And what was our water name? Brittany. Special shout out to Brittany for coming in and being so patient with us yesterday. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, today being Thursday, we give you guys information about self improvement, personal development, relationship topics. And today's going to be a relationship topic. We're going to be giving you more information about socialization, networking, building your brand, and then promotions, raises, retirement, forced retirement, severance packages, termination, and then how to build your 20 and 30-year plan. Because if you know where you want to be at in your future and you have an idea of how to get there, then you can start proactively building the steps to accomplish those goals. Not everything works in your favor the way you want it to initially, but sometimes the chips fall where you want them to fall at the right time. The whole time you were stressing that this wasn't going to work out well, and then like the 18, I love it when a plan comes together. So you didn't expect it to end this way, but it ended this way. And a lot of bad things had to happen for a good outcome to occur. And sometimes that is just the way life is. So if you plan for the things that you typically experience on a regular basis, you can't plan for the unknown. You can't plan for the X factor. But if you can plan for most other things, that means that you got like 25 out of 26 plans because you can't plan for the X factor. You should be able to resolve most things in life. And just like we were talking about last night, guy said Mr. Wisdom was claiming that you can't fix your finances and get peace from fixing your finances. And the truth of the matter is that it really depends on what you define as peace because you could be a millionaire and have chaos in your house because you don't have respect from the people that live in your house. You could be broke and feel like a king because everybody in your neighborhood worships the ground that you walk on. You can find yourself in a situation where you have more problems than you need because you're taking on other people's problems. You can find yourself not having enough responsibility because everybody does everything for you. So it really depends on what you define as peace and then how do you accomplish that? Because some people want responsibility and feel like they're not valued enough by their network because their network does everything for them. Right. So you really got to think about this. Uh, Steven says, I'm expecting the best and planning for the worst. And taking whatever happens in between. That's a good saying. I'm planning for $1 million status. Oh, well, actually, I'm planning for a multi-million dollar status. And I'm planning on establishing international income. That way I can get paid from wherever I am in the world. So short story, that's what that's the game plan. Um, uh, Baby steps on how to get there, but ultimately the financial freedom and then detaching myself from the mandatory responsibility to show up and work for any reason, and then put myself in a position where I'm just uh, uh, getting paid to live and still doing this podcast at the same time. So this is probably going to be like the only responsibility that I would actually have because this is something that I decided to dedicate myself to. Um, but yeah, uh, you when you go into scenarios expecting the worst possible outcome, there's a lot of times where you just got to deal with it because there's nothing you can do if the worst actually happens. But you can prepare for some bad things. And that's why I tell you guys about those gas cans. If gas is about to go up 50 cents a gallon, probably should stock up on it right now, even though it's high as fuck. Uh, uh, there's just things that you can do, you should do, and there's things that you can try to navigate around, right? And that's part of the 20 and 30-year plan, because it's not just making $1 million. It's not just becoming $100,000 a year man. It's about building a foundation that is also automated, so that you can detach yourself from the productivity and give yourself the actual financial freedom and the obligation freedom to be able to not have to focus on other things. Because when you make a certain quantity of money, where you got housekeepers, you've got personal assistants, you've got chauffeurs, you've got lawyers on the take, most of the things that would require you to think, somebody else is paid to do that. But it requires you to have a certain quantity of capital coming in to cover the salary of those individuals, so that you don't have to do it. That's something that not a lot of people really fathom, because a stay-at-home nurse, when you start becoming elderly, that costs money. So you gotta put all these things together. And if you say, well, these are the things that I want, so that when I'm in that situation, I won't have to suffer. Now you got to figure out, what do I got to do to get that, right? So, um, today we're going to be talking about cheating and the standards that break trust. Now, I know that we're going to get a lot of people diving in today about cheating, and there's going to be a lot of double standards here, a lot of double standards here. And I'm waiting on some of the ladies to dive in with their objections. But we're gonna go through this pretty lengthy discussion. It should take a couple hours, based on normal interaction, and we're going to be trying to go over the observations of cheating. Now, the difference in what I'm going to be talking about versus what a lot of other people talk about when they talk about cheating, I'm not going to claim that a certain individual is good or bad because they cheated. We're going to go over the dynamics of why cheating occurs, and then we're also going to go over the dynamics of the standards of expectations that leads to what is perceived as a betrayal of trust, which can also be classified as cheating. And ultimately, if I expected you to do something a certain way and you don't do it that way, you have betrayed my trust. Now, this isn't the standard observation that slept with my best friend kind of cheating. This isn't the standard observation of, a secret love affair or something like that. Emotional cheating, work boyfriend scenarios. This isn't the standard observation of that. When we really start talking about the true ideology of cheating, we're looking at the ultimate betrayal of trust. And then we also have to understand that the levels of trust comes with certain levels of expectations. And a lot of times it's not the trust that you betrayed. It is defying the expectations that was set before you. And sometimes it is not effectively cheating. It is just you present yourself with a level of dissatisfaction with my performance, which still leads to the resentment that leads to the breakup, because what you expected your partner to do, he or she did not do it the way you expected them to do it. He said, he could chime 2 cents in now, but it's unnecessary because my feelings are known on this one. Well, yeah, you can go ahead and throw your two, even if you're restating the same. This is the topic for that. So when you throw your 2 cents in there, you're gonna throw your 2 cents in there. But you know, I'm actually about to bring you some philosophy and psychology into this topic. So your perspective is not wrong. However, the some of the stuff that I'm about to talk about, you're gonna be like, damn, didn't think about it like that. Now, there is a moment, and we all know when this happens. There is a moment that your life splits into a clear before and after situation. The death after a loved one, the birth of a child, and then there's the discovery of infidelity. But what if the real damage from cheating isn't the act itself, but the quiet, deliberate rewriting of your shared realities without your consent? And this isn't just about the broken promises. It's about the moment your partnership, a space that you thought was built on trust, transforms into a rigid game. This is going to be a game where only one person knows the new rules, leaving you to play a part that you never auditioned for on a stage that you no longer recognize. So this is going to be the architecture of the betrayal, and it's designed to make you question not just your partner, but the very grounds that you're standing on. Daniel says, "Don't chime in, Steve." Well, Daniel, I'm going to be honest with you. Uh, this is going to be one of those podcasts where I know it should have popped up in the comment section, but I expect you guys to behave respectfully and appropriately. You can argue against the facts, but don't take shots at the person delivering the information. You don't have to agree with each other, but we have to respect the fact that each other has different opinions based on personal experience and the ability to obtain facts and information on our own accord. So we're going to want Steven to provide his information, and then we're going to go in there and talk about some other stuff on top of that. He says, Steven says, emotional cheating is a joke to me. I want my future wife to have close relationships with other people. That is normal and healthy. Physical cheating cancels the relationship. Now, that is the common figure for a lot of men because men are physical and women are emotional. So the idea of physical contact is across the board, both men and women alike, understandably recognize that physical contact with another person outside of the relationship in an intimate fashion is unacceptable. And some people try to work through it, but most people make that a zero tolerance, red flag, three strikes you're out, like no redos scenario. However, while you might recognize that emotional cheating is a joke to you, women are emotional. Women receive validation through emotional contact. So while you might not feel like her having a very in-depth relationship that is strictly platonic with another man, where she shows him more respect than she shows you, but she never sleeps with him, you might not find that as emotional cheating. But if you had a homegirl from way back when you was like five, your new girlfriend would find it very intimidating and potentially a level of competition because the bond that you have, the emotional bond that you have with this one girl, is not as strong as the emotional bond that you have in your current relationship. Well, I understand, hey, my childhood friend from 15, 20 years comes before my current relationship. Let's picture the fact that you've been in a relationship for 5 or 6 years and this new girl shows up and starts becoming your quote unquote best friend, where you now have a better relationship with this girl you just met last week than what you had with your girlfriend for 5 years. That also is going to be red flags. If you were dating a girl for 3 or 4 years and then all of a sudden this new guy comes out of nowhere and she has a better time with him than what she has with you, her attitude changes and all this other stuff, that's a red flag. Typically, emotional cheating occurs more often than not before physical cheating. It starts with flirting. It starts with casual conversations. A lot of people, especially women, like to establish a bond to get that level of security with the person before they actually sleep with the person. So not only did the guy have a physical connection with him, he actually established emotional bond first. Guys just smash the girl. He doesn't always establish the emotional bond first, but some guys can establish an emotional bond with the girl and have a physical bond with the girl. So you have to understand from a guy's perspective, if there's cheating happening, the first thing the guy's going to say is, "Did you sleep with them?" But with a woman, if there's a cheating going on, the first thing the girl's going to say is, "Do you love her?" Because the emotional bond, if you love the girl that you're sleeping with, then your bond with your wife is broken. With a guy, the physical bond, if you smash that guy, the relationship is done because she's damaged goods now. She's no longer exclusive to the relationship. So I understand that dynamic, but that wasn't the direction we were going today. So it's that's a good concept. That's a good concept, but that's not the direction we were going today. Today we were talking about setting the standards of the expectations of relationship performance, and then when setting those standards incorrectly could actually negatively impact your relationship more than just somebody sleeping with somebody else or an extra flirtatious situation in another location, right? The deepest pain of infidelity isn't just the wound of the affair itself. It's the discovery that the reality that you were living in, the one that you invested in, planned a future in, and found safety in, was meticulously curated illusions. So you weren't lied to about an event. You were lied to about the very nature of your entire world, your whole relationship. Every committed relationship runs on a contract. I've been telling you guys about getting a written girlfriend contract, put one in the membership, and encourage you guys to look at it and modify it to your own benefits. But most of the contract isn't written down. It's something far more profound and very fragile. It's a silent shared agreement on the nature of your reality. So think of it as the operating system of your relationship. And this system is built on foundational rules about fidelity, honesty, and priority that both partners implicitly and sometimes explicitly agree to. Now, these standards are terms and conditions of your emotional and physical safety. They include the explicit stuff. Are you monogamous? What do you both consider cheating? What are the boundaries with friends or coworkers? These are the lines that you draw in the sand together, right? But beneath those rules lies a deeper level of assumptions. Okay. Now, the things that you believe that you don't even need to say out loud, these are going to be the things that we're going to be talking about today. The assumption that your partner won't deliberately lie to you, they won't hide huge parts of their life from you. The core belief that when it comes to loyalty, you are their priority. This collection of rules, spoken and unspoken, creates your shared reality. Now, it's a world built on shared ideas about what counts as a betrayal, shared expectations about how you spend your time, and the shared story that says we're a team. We tell each other the truth. When both people play by these rules, a profound sense of safety is created. It's not that there's no risk. Relationships are inherently risky, but the risk feels known and manageable. Your brain, which is constantly trying to calculate risk, can finally relax. And that's the kind of relationships we really want. We want the kind of relationship where we can relax. Your nervous system can down regulate. Trust here is not just emotional, it's cognitive. You don't have to reinvestigate every story. You don't have to reinterpret every text or cross examine every detail. Trust becomes a mental efficiency hack. So you can cache assumption about your partner and free up energy for life. Cheating standards break trust the moment one partner starts playing by different rules, but keeps presenting themselves as if they're still aligned. At that moment, what used to be a cooperative game turns into a rigged system of asymmetric information. One person has insider knowledge, the other is kept deliberately in the dark. Now, this shared reality is the foundation for everything. Every memory, every plan, and every feeling of security is built on top of it. You believe that when your partner says, I love you, the words meant the same thing to them as it did to you. You believe their stories about their day were the full stories. The betrayal of cheating doesn't just violate a clause in the contract, it reveals that the contract that you thought you both signed was for one person a complete fabrication. Trust doesn't actually collapse when you find out. It started collapsing much earlier at the moment of the silent contract breach. And this is when one partner secretly decides to start playing by a different set of rules while actively pretending they're still following the old ones. And this is going to be where the game gets rigged. It starts with a secret rewriting of the relationship rulebook. To manage their own guilt, the cheating partner often redefines fidelity, but only for themselves. A new secret rulebook is going to be created with justifications scribbled in the margins. It's just texting. That's not real cheating. It didn't mean anything, so it doesn't count. My needs weren't being met, so I was entitled to this. These rationalizations create a parallel reality to their actions, feel permissible. This is going to be where they're going to feel permissible, like they're allowed to do this. Underneath that is an even more unorthodox truth. And this isn't just a moral slip, it's a power move. The person who controls the definition controls the game. Once they decide silently that I get to decide when the rules apply to me, they are not in the relationship of equals anymore. They are running a private governance system over your shared life. And this creates a dangerous imbalance. The betrayed partner keeps operating under the old terms of honesty and exclusivity. They're playing chess, believing all the pieces move in predictable ways, but the cheating partner has quietly swapped their pawns for a queen, letting it move anywhere on the board while insisting it's still just a pawn. You consented to one game, but you're being forced to play another. And that's the very definition of a rigged game. One player has information and abilities that are systematically hidden from the other. Now, when we're talking about like cheating and infidelity and the violations of trust and truth. Notice this isn't about the difference between emotional cheating versus physical cheating. This is about the fact that you expected your partner to leave the house and be able to socialize and interact with other people without having the ability to lie to you about what they were doing and who they were with. You had a dynamic set up where you should be able to trust your partner to leave for a reasonable period of time, come back at a reasonable period of time, and have done nothing deceptive during the time that they were gone. This isn't a situation where your partner is having overnight sleepovers with a guy and oh, it was a strictly platonic sleepover. No, this isn't. This could be a situation where your partner got a traffic ticket and they took their bonus money and paid the traffic ticket. They didn't tell you anything about it, but now your insurance is going up. You don't know why you're paying more money on your insurance premiums. Y'all never had a crash. This is the kind of situation where your partner decided to stop by the casino on the way back to the house. Told you he was going out for a drink, but didn't tell you where. All of a sudden, $500 is missing. They were gambling. This is a situation where your partner takes the car, claimed that they were going down the street. Down the street might be 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, depending on the person. But they came back with no gas in the car, where they left with a full tank and came back with no gas in the car, where 200, 300 miles worth of driving occurred, and they have no explanation as to why there's no gas in the car. Understandably, Stephen, that's not emotional cheating, but that's levels of deception equivalent to having an affair, which will cause unnecessary conflict in a relationship and a lack of trust to the same magnitude of finding out that your partner is sleeping with somebody else. because you can no longer trust them to take the car. You can no longer trust them to tell you where they are. You can no longer trust them to come back at a reasonable time. You can no longer trust them with the money. You can no longer trust them to tell you the truth about their actions. And if the relationship is foundationally built on trust, it isn't even about, you know, where their mouth has been. It's about if you can count on them to be the person you thought they were when y'all got together. You say that now because you're one person. You say, I could never share a car, so I wouldn't care. No, you would care. Because if you were in a relationship and you had a car and she had a car, you're a good man. If Paul's car shop for a week, during that week, y'all would share one car. And if one of y'all, if let's say she dropped you off and she was supposed to come back and pick you up, and she's 30 minutes late to pick you up. She could have been stuck in traffic. She could have got lost on time. It doesn't matter what happened. When she comes back, when y'all have trust, it doesn't matter why you were late. I'm glad you're here. When y'all don't have trust, where the fuck were you and what took you so long? That's the difference in the dynamic. Is that my whole thing is do you and keep it real. If you can't keep it honest, kick rocks. Okay, but that's actually what we're getting into the deep end of, because the keep it real part isn't just about having an affair with somebody. The keep it real part is the genuine ability to perform the way we agreed, the genuine ability to perform the way you used to perform, which is the level of expectations that I've built based on your past performance. My hypothesis of your behavior pattern is based on historical performance. So, in theory, I should be able to interpret what you're going to do based on what you used to do. So, when you start switching things up without telling me about it, that's a betrayal of trust. That's where we are. It gets way deeper than that. And this is why finding out about infidelity feels like sadness and more psychological fraud than anything else. It's the shock of realizing that your consent was manufactured. Now, you didn't agree to be in a relationship where your partner was intimate with someone else because you were never told the rules had changed. Your continued participation was based on fraudulent information. The cheater didn't just break a rule, they wrote the contract without your knowledge, right? And here's the unorthodox twist. The unorthodox twist is that this doesn't just ruin your faith in them, it undermines your faith in you. You start to ask yourself, if I miss this, what else am I blind to? How much can I trust my own judgment? Cheating doesn't just break relational trust; it breaks uh, um, the epistemic trust, which is your trust in your own ability to know what's real. Now, this is also why attempts to minimize what happened, phrases like "it was just a text" or "it meant nothing," feel so insulting and often make pain worse because the trust didn't collapse because of the specific act. It collapsed because of the architecture of deception required to hide it. The core injury isn't the kiss or the text, it's the revelation of the capacity for such intentional deception, the unilateral decision to prioritize their own desires, and the terrifying existence of a secret rule book that can override your shared reality at any moment. Because for me, I have a conscience. If I do something wrong, I feel it in my body, heart races, and all of somebody is slimy to me and don't feel bad that they are a user and need to go. Well, you're going to feel a level of emotional discomfort when you put your faith in a person that you thought was going to be here, if not forever, at least for an extended period of time, and then you come to find out that the relationship has to end because what you thought this person was or how you thought this person was going to behave is not who this person is and how they're actually going to behave. Um, I understand that having a good conscience, having a very strong moral compass allows, and especially if you have a strong emotional bond with the person, sometimes you can actually feel the cheating. You can actually feel the heart racing. You can actually feel your heart tearing in pieces. The person ain't even there with you and you can't identify, you can't put your finger on it. You just feel bad, weird, uncomfortable in this moment in the house by yourself, not knowing what the hell happened, right? And then the next time that you meet your partner, they're behaving different. Um, you don't always put your finger on it right away, but once you find out what the hell happened, you recognize that your relationship has to end. And that's going to be a devastating feeling to have. But it doesn't just happen with actual infidelity. Now we're talking about it from the guise of infidelity, from the not even the guise of infidelity, from the actual manufacturing of infidelity. But we also have to recognize that this happens in every area because again, trust is backed by honesty, loyalty, dedication, determination, motivation to say, do, and be the person that you said you was gonna do and be. And I can only expect you to say and do the things that you've always done, or the things that I would have done in that exact same situation. So when we're operating on mutual respect and assumptions, we're in a position where we don't necessarily have to verbally agree to do certain things. We just expect, based on past behavior and based on our own personal upbringing, that we would expect our partner to do and be a certain way. So, hypothetically, you as a man can walk in a room full of naked women, get yourself whatever it is that you went in that room for, came back out without having contact with any of those women. Now, your girlfriend might have a problem with you walking in the damn room in the first place. Has nothing to do with you interacting with anybody. It is the fact that when you open that door, you recognize that all the women in that room didn't have clothes. Her expectation in you was to take your ass back out of that room and close the door and peel out. Your expectation in that room is I didn't do anything wrong. Whatever I needed was in that room, and I went in that room to go get it. It could have been your car keys. It could have been and you ask yourself, well, why would I be in a room full of naked? Look, bro, you might go to a house party. You might have to go pick up your friend, and then your friend is underneath a crowd of people doing stuff they ain't got no business doing, and you go in there and grab your friend. You could be going into this place for a noble scenario. Like, for example, let's use another scenario. Let's use another scenario. Your homeboy went to the strip club. His car broke down. He went back into the strip club till you came to pick him back up. He got himself a VIP lap dance. You go into the strip club to go get him. He's in a VIP room. Now, your girlfriend might expect you to wait for him outside. You are not going to wait for him outside because he probably won't come outside till the club closes. You're going to go get him and bring him out so that you can take his ass home. Right now, the fact that you went in there and you have to talk to the staff to find out where he is and then go get him out of the VIP room. If you told your girl the story how you walked into the strip club and then you went into the VIP room to get your friend, her thought is that's not where you were supposed to be. The areas of trust and the expectations are not the same because your expectation was I was duty bound to my mission and I fulfilled it without temptation. Her expectations are is that you abandon the mission to avoid temptation. That is an unwritten conflict of interest. Her expectations and your expectations were not discussed. He said, yeah, I don't set myself up for failure. I mean, you don't intentionally set yourself up for failure, but if you're the kind of guy to you bail your friend out of a fucked up situation, you don't set yourself up for failure deliberately. You indirectly set yourself up for failure when you go and bail a failure out of failure. Your homeboy go to jail for some bullshit that he actually did, and you bail him out. You just set yourself up for failure because you threw away a bunch of money for a crime that he actually committed. He's going to get let go today and get sentenced in a few months or a few weeks. That's money gone that you didn't need to do, right? So a lot of the times when you're bailing a friend out after your friend did something stupid, you're setting yourself up for failure. You personally don't do things that will compromise your own integrity, and you personally don't do things that you know yourself that you're not going to behave well in that situation, so you're not going to put yourself in that situation deliberately. But when you put yourself in a situation as a byproduct of your immediate goal, like picking your homeboy up from the club, he's in a bar fight, you're ride or die homie, you're not going to let him get jumped by the masses, you're going to end up in a bar fight with him. You set yourself up for failure by going to get your homie from a bar fight. Could have sent him an Uber. He said, "Homie is on his own. He grown." I understand, but some people, a lot of people, even if you're the outlier, Stephen, a lot of people make types of bad decisions, and then after they make these types of bad decisions, they don't understand why their life isn't going the way they want it to go. Right? So even so-called micro cheating. And this is where our emotional cheating discussion kind of slides into the topic. This can cause massive ruptures for the exact reason that we talked about before. Finding a secret messaging app or a pattern of small lies that serves as proof that the secret rule book exists. The logic for betrayal, where the partner's being betrayed, becomes painfully clear. So if you can lie this convincingly about something that you claim is small, never believe you about something big. If you can lie about a traffic ticket, it doesn't matter to me. You can lie about a murder. If you can lie about where the rent money went, you can lie about what that girl is doing in the bedroom, right? So the size of the act becomes irrelevant. The game is rigged and the contract is fraudulent. And the reality that you thought you shared has been exposed as a stage play. Because I'm like an old man, I spend my time working at school, libraries, and gyms. That's about it for me. Right. But you had that girl that was in your class that you thought was cute and you was thinking about taking her out on a date. If that turned into a long-term relationship, you can find yourself in a situation where you can't save a whole situation because she's got bills that she can't afford to pay. You might offer to pay it. Phone bills due, but she don't get paid for a couple of weeks. Don't worry, I got you. This might be a situation where she goes out to a party with a friend, and she doesn't have a ride back because they carpooled and her friend is drunk and her friend doesn't drive and she didn't bring her license. So now she can't drive. Oh, don't worry, I'll come get you. There's a lot of dynamics where you can still set yourself up for failure by doing something for the people that matter to you. You know, helping them not experience the consequences of their own actions because they matter to you, right? You know, like even if you did something for your dad because he put himself in a compromising position and you went out of your way to cover for him. That you could be setting yourself up for failure. Your dad did, he runs out of medication, don't tell you nothing about it. He doesn't have any medication. Now you got to take your bill money and go and get medication for him so that he doesn't have any health issues for not having any medication. Something simple like that. It doesn't always have to be catastrophic failure in order for it to be failure. Minor failures are minor inconveniences, and those minor inconveniences causes unnecessary stress to some degree to your normal operation. And when you put yourself in somebody else's problem that they could have potentially caused for themselves because you value them, you don't want to allow them to suffer unnecessarily. So you sacrifice yourself, your peace of mind, and your well being for the betterment of them to make sure that they have what they need because you can't stand watching them suffer because you value them so much. And that it's a noble position to be in, but it allows you to set yourself up for failure or sacrifice yourself for someone else's failure. Because if you were cold hearted and cruel, then the people that you love could be dying and you could just let it happen because it would negatively impact your ability to succeed if you got involved. So, I mean, I respect the fact that you're responsible about your stuff, but the average person who has loyalty and devotion and dedication to somebody else, you love them, you respect them, you appreciate them, you admire them, Y'all go way back. They made sacrifices for you, probably big sacrifices. You got skeletons in your closet nobody knows about, and y'all got that kind of relationship. You might put yourself in a compromising position to get them out of a bad spot because of how much you value the other person. And this is how loyalties are built, built on sacrifice, right? So while you yourself are not going to deliberately make a bad choice that you know would lead to a bad consequence, if you yourself have the level of integrity that you tell me that you have, you're still the kind of person that would go and get somebody else after they did a bad choice. You're not the kind of person that's just going to let them rot. Now, yeah, you might not bail a homie out of jail because, like me, I don't answer calls from unknown numbers. So if you're calling me collect, I'm not picking that bitch up. So I'll never know you went to jail, right? But I had a homeboy, matter of fact, just earlier this week. Matter of fact, same homeboy that's always irresponsible. He just had his license got suspended. I covered his $150 suspension. I'm making money off $150 though, but it's the principle of the fact that I bailed him out of a bad spot because he was driving around since May with a suspended license, which would compromise him extensively had he ever gotten pulled over. We all do this. We all bail out a buddy. So we set limits as to how far we're willing to go for people before it starts becoming a catastrophic to our success. But minor inconveniences, we put ourselves in positions to take care of these minor inconveniences. But when you start peeling back the layers of the minor inconvenience, a lot of the times they be fucking up. Is it send some holiday packs to the jail so they can start store? But look, there go the money it would cost to bail them out is the money that it would cost to send them the holiday packs because it's like 35 or $50 for the cost of them going to jail. You got to put that on the books first and then put money on his canteen. So if you send them $250 for the canteen, $500 would have bonded them out sometimes. So you put $250 on the canteen, it's like that's money wasted. But I get your point though. It's like fuck it, I ain't even visiting your ass on Sunday. I get your point, you know. But how exactly would the game be rigged if we're talking about it like this? Because it's a system of control that's built on three pillars. And we don't think about this until I started talking about it today. It's built on three pillars: information control, reality manipulation, and managing the emotional fallout. Now, the first pillar is information control. A double life cannot exist without meticulous managing of information. And a double life doesn't have to be you cheating on somebody else with somebody else. A double life could be you presenting yourself as a financially successful person when you're drowning in debt. A double life could be you presenting yourself as a highly ethical person with a criminal past. A double life can be anything. The fact that you're hiding the true who you are from the person that you're with, probably because you thought when you met this person that they would not have accepted who you really are. You put on a facade of who you thought that they would want you to be. And if they accept that person, you are now living a double life because who you really are, they don't know anything about. And who you're pretending to be, you're consistent with that shit. Cheating is at its core a project in curation. The cheating partner becomes the sole editor of the relationship story, deciding what you're allowed to know, what you're allowed to see, and what you're allowed to feel. And this isn't just about telling lies, it's about building an entire infrastructure of deception. It starts with secrets and omissions because a lot of the times you don't have to tell a lie. You can just not tell the truth. You a lot of the times, and some people say, well, not telling the truth is telling a lie. No, if you fucked up the car and the car is in the shop, somebody asks you what happened to the car, you say the car is in the shop, they think it's getting a regular repair. You didn't tell them that you fucked up the car. You just told them it was in the shop. You told them the truth. You didn't tell them the whole truth. Omissions is sometimes worse than lying. So a simple question like, how was your day, becomes a minefield requiring rehearsed stories and half truths. The phone becomes a fortress with hidden apps and cleared call logs. Time and energy are secretly diverted from the relationship. And underneath that, there's a more chilling layer, information control, that creates a market advantage. They're trading on insider information, which is your trust, while you operate on delayed, distorted, or fabricated data. You're making life decisions, kids, mortgages, careers, based on a reality that they know is outdated. Now, this creates what therapists call an asymmetric power dynamic. The person with the secret holds all the cards. The other partner is left navigating a world of incomplete data where their own instincts are the only thing they have left. And those instincts are about to be systematically dismantled by the second pillar. And this is where the deception becomes truly corrosive: gaslighting and reality manipulation. When the betrayed partner senses something is wrong and starts to ask questions, the game enters its most psychological, violent phase. Gaslighting is the deliberate act of making someone question their own perception to maintain control. Your gut feelings, your observations, your memories, all are reframed as evidence of your own instability. And you have to understand, there are a lot of people that will throw the word gaslighting out so that they can devalue your complaint because you brought up the fact that you have a problem with their behavior, and they're going to claim that you're gaslighting them. Some people actually claim that you're gaslighting them when you tell them that you actually admire them, that you love them, that you care for them. Oh, don't gaslight me. That's a whole nother story. But true gaslighting, true gaslighting is if you told me you were going to be somewhere, you're not where you said you were. I call you out on that. You claim we never had that conversation. That's gaslighting. I told you I was going to do something for you. I didn't do it. You come to me and ask me why I didn't do what I said I was going to do, and I tell you I never said that. That's gaslighting. When you start getting to a level where we have to record what we're talking about right now so that I can play it back later so that you can't tell me that this wasn't said, that's because you've been gaslighted so many different times that you're starting to catch on to the gaslighting, right? Big difference. It sounds like you're being paranoid, right? We're just friends, and you're imagining things, you're too insecure, it's going to sound like this is not what I said, you know, you're twisting my words. Gaslighting can be them twisting your words. You tell your girlfriend, you probably shouldn't wear those pants. They don't fit you right. Oh, so you're saying that I'm fat? It's not what I said. I said those clothes don't fit you right, right? And each denial is a calculated blow against your sanity. You're told the smoke that you see isn't a fire, but a fault in your own vision. This is psychological warfare designed to make you believe that you're an unreliable narrative of your own life. You start to second guess everything. Am I crazy? Am I being too sensitive? To protect the lie, the cheater has to make their partner believe that their own mind is the enemy. You got to understand this works in a lot of different ways because if your partner continues to devalue the things that you say and gaslight you on a situation, and a lot of times women do this more often than men, believe it or not, um, you stop presenting complaints. Because if I tell you that I'm unhappy about something, and then you are unhappy about the fact that I'm unhappy, so now your lack of happiness is my fault because I complained about being unhappy. I just got gaslighted like a son of a bitch. But in this particular situation, now I spend more time consoling you for you being upset, ignoring the fact that I had a problem in the first place. My problem never gets resolved, and you never get held accountable for what you did. This puts me in a position where eventually I stop articulating that I have problems with your behavior. Because if I tell you I have a problem with your behavior, I'm going to spend more time making you feel better about me being disappointed in you than what you're going to spend in fixing my complaints. So my complaints never get resolved, which ultimately means I'm just not going to say anything because it's not going to go anywhere. Right. Now, the unorthodox piece here is that gaslighting doesn't just protect the affair. It reprograms your internal lie detector. Your brain learns that when I feel something is off, that I must be wrong. That's the real heist. Not just stealing your trust, but stealing your confidence in your own signal system. Now, the final pillar is going to be the management of the emotional toll. The questioning turns inward, become a brutal self interrogation. Was I ever really loved? Was our whole history a lie? The deception doesn't just poison the present, it retroactively contaminates the past. Happy memories are now replayed through a horrifying new filter where they think of the other person in a different light. Was that smile genuine? This is going to be the stolen past. And it's one of the most disorienting parts of this experience. You lose more than a partner in this situation. You lose your own history. Your personal story is uh, detonated. It's completely destroyed. An argument about money is a conflict within a shared reality. Infidelity reveals that shared reality itself may have been a fiction. The emotional toll is the dawning horror that you may have been living a lie, and you start to suspect the game might have been rigged for a very, very long time. There's another unorthodox layer. Now, this isn't just uh, gigantic. Often, other people knew, friends, coworkers, even family. That means that the betrayal is not just you and the other person, it's you and your entire network that decided that you didn't need to know the truth. Your partner's doing something that he or she ain't got no business doing. And your mama know, your brother know, your cousin know, your best friend know, your coworker know, your boss know. When you finally find out, then you go and tell them they've been knowing for weeks, if not months. Now you're not just grieving a partner, you're reevaluating your entire social ecosystem. Discovering this rigged game isn't just a psychological event, it's a biological one. Your brain and your body can react to this profound betrayal with the same intensity as a physical threat. This isn't an overreaction, it's a deeply programmed survival response. Your brain is constantly trying to protect what will happen next to keep you safe. In neurological terms, trust is the brain's assessment that a person is reliable and not a source of threat. So when you trust someone, your brain labels them as safe, letting you lower your guard. The discovery of infidelity is the ultimate protection error. The model of the world your brain had built, my partner is safe, our bond is secure, is shattered. Your brain can interpret this not just as bad news, but as a catastrophic threat to your emotional and relational world, triggering a massive surge of stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Now, this is going to be the neurochemical reason for the physical symptoms many betrayed partners report, which is shock, nausea, controllable tremors, um, feeling disconnected from reality. Stephen, you said your heart was racing. You said that you felt sick to your stomach. That's this. Your body is thrown into a fight, flight, or freeze mode. This is why, in the days and weeks after, you can't sleep, can't eat, you can't even think straight. Your brain's alarm system, the uh, amygdala, is this can be hyperactive. And this is going to be like one of those. It's not like the Amdullah Gada kind of thing. It's the actually yeah, it is the Amdullah Gada. uh, certain location in your brain, kind of heavy scientific factor, but this particular brain function switches into hyperactive mode. Now it's going to reclassify your partner. That's what you need to pay attention to. Once your primary source of safety is going to now be reclassified as a potential threat. Can't trust it. It starts with running surveillance. Ladies, y'all got the dating app. You're tracking your boyfriend's GPS location, popping up on him, trying to make sure he is where he say he gonna be. It's replaying scenarios, searching for missing cues, prevent this kind of blind side from ever happening again. So in your new relationship, you're stalking your romantic partner to prevent from re-experiencing the same thing you experienced in your old relationship. If you're still in the same relationship where your partner betrayed your trust before, you're now watching your partner like a hawk to prevent it from happening again. This state of hypervigilance is exhausting. Every phone notification or unexplained delay can trigger a fresh wave of panic. Special shout out to Claudia Rules. Look, you should have been here Sunday. Was it Sunday? Yeah, it was Sunday. No, it wasn't Sunday. It was Tuesday. We were talking about money. No, it was yesterday. You should have been here yesterday because we had Brittany here. So then we would have had two women in the chat room. And I was talking about, I was like, Claudia's usually here, Nicole's usually here. They didn't come. They ain't been here for like a month. Brittany was here in the comment section, only checking the comment section with all these big talking. Uh, what happened? Well, nothing bad. I mean, we were talking about Luxembourg and how to live in France and travel to Luxembourg and have you a good standard of living under $40,000 a year kind of thing. But we side topicked on some relationship questions and stuff to that effect, and then got back onto the main topic. But Brittany was surprised, and Brittany was surprised that everybody was communicating to her. But I pointed out that with the 15 or 20 plus guys in the comment section, every guy said, "Hey, Brittany," but nobody said, "Hey," to any other guy on the chat. And then I started explaining the dynamic behind that. Because she was like the most popular person in the chat because she popped in there. Trader says, didn't one famous actor say trust but verify? Well, um, yeah, after you've been fucked over a couple times in your life, it is very important for you to even though you trust individuals, that you should go and verify. And I can agree to the fact that I instinctively do this without knowing it, just going over like what I've been doing over the past couple of weeks. If I for somebody in my house, I leave them to their devices, but then after a certain period of time that I expected performance to occur, I actually do go back and verify that they did what I asked them to do. I patrol the area of performance that I gave them and see if they did what I asked them to do. I don't tell them anything if they didn't do what I asked them to do. But when they come back to me with some bullshit, the first thing I say, I mean, you can take your ass over there. I told you to, because I know it's not done because I went and patrolled the area and see that you didn't do what you were supposed to do. So yeah, you are supposed to instill a level of mutual respect and a mild level of trust in individuals, and then go verify whatever it is you're expecting them to do. Trader says, did Xander convince one of his ex girlfriends to call in yesterday? Hell no. I don't know Brittany. She seems like a cool person. I did check into her profile, but no. Uh, the most recent ex I would have had would have been almost a decade ago. So I would be surprised if my ex would pop up on the podcast. I shouldn't be surprised because I'm live streaming, but I would be surprised since 50% of my podcast is in Bangladesh. I would be surprised that one of the people that jumps into my comment section would be my ex. And this is and one of the reasons why is because my exes are dead to me. When the relationship doesn't work, it doesn't work after I put in all of the relevant effort that I could have put into making it successful. So what this means is that I went above. I'm already in the relationship, going above and beyond normal expectations. So the less my partner performs in a relationship, the more I perform to pick up the slack. Then I overperform on top of that. And if the relationship doesn't work after that, I mean, there's nothing else I could do because this was a two-party effort, and one party was doing the work of three, and the other party was benefiting until the situation just wasn't feasible anymore. Now, once we break up, I'm not coming back. I block your information. I don't communicate with you anymore. We do not have shared friends. We do not have hangout spots. We do not have a shared a network or inner circle. I don't date coworkers. I don't affiliate with the people that I work with. I don't affiliate with the people that I work for. So we don't have to see each other every day. More often than not, I have to commute to another neighborhood or in some situations, another city because Florida's big. I have to commute to another city to interact with you. So we don't even live in the same neighborhood. In order for my ex to come in contact with me, my ex would have to hire a private investigator to find me. Then my ex would have to proactively come to where I am and then deliberately come into contact with me. And it's a lot of effort for an ex. Now, there are some women that do that. It just doesn't happen to me, at least not over the last like 6 or 7 years. So that's a good joke, but no females would jump onto the show because they knew me before the show. But since we're halfway through, make sure that you guys like and subscribe and mash those reaction buttons because we're going to be getting deep into this information with infidelity and whatnot. Now, economists are going to be calling betrayal a betrayal aversion scenario because we fear harm caused by another person's choice more than harm caused by random chance. Right? Why are we talking about your ex? Because of this comment right here about 5 minutes ago. That's why. So you see that comment? Or well, if you're looking at 9 by 16, you see that comment? He put that comment there, and then I responded to that comment, which is 2 minutes after this comment. So I was just responding to the comment because I'm not talking. I never do a podcast about my own personal life. Sometimes I have reoccurring situations where we're talking about topics where I can put real life experience into the conversation, but This podcast isn't about me. This is about me giving you guys information that you guys did not know existed so that you guys can help yourselves make changes in your own lives so that you guys can have a better life than what you had before you met me. So nothing about the podcast is designed to strategically talk about my personal life. So I won't be talking about my ex. I won't be talking about who they are, where they are. But I was pointing out to him that because he asked, uh, did I convince the girl that came on the show yesterday because she was an ex? And I'm like, no, she wasn't an ex. I don't know her from Adam, and I would never have an ex on the show because I don't affiliate with my exes to the magnitude that would have to go above and beyond the Call of Duty to find me. I literally fall off the face of the planet when I stop associating with you. You might know who I am. You might even know where I live. And when we stop affiliating with one another, unless you deliberately come to my house, you'll never see me in public. You'll never see me at any of the places we used to go together. You'll never see me hanging out with somebody that you know. You're not going to find me. Like I don't exist anymore. Once somebody becomes my ex, like I don't exist anymore. So in order for us to cross paths, that interaction would be a deliberate setup. No, hey, we just crossed. No, no, the fuck we didn't. No, the fuck we didn't. You knew where I was and you decided to cross my path. That's why we're crossing paths. And I was in college when I had an ex cross my path in Ybor City with her new boyfriend. Like she wanted me to have a conversation with her. No, I already know how you behave. When I left you, I already knew that I was done. We're not about to rekindle anything while this guy is standing next to you. That's a wrap. So, but I'm sitting up, and then the funny part is, I was talking to one of the guys that I was working with not working with, but he was working, and I was standing next to him. He was like, well, "Who's that?" And I'm like, "That's my ex showing off her new boyfriend." He's like, "Oh, that's fucked up." Not for me, it's not. He doesn't know what he got himself into. I just dodged the bullet. Sometimes. But I told you guys, it was what almost a decade ago. So after infidelity, betrayal aversion goes into overdrive. Now, your nervous system updates not just one file, which is this partner, but an entire category. People I love can hurt me in ways that I can't see coming. Now, trusting anyone new isn't just emotionally risky, it feels irrational, which makes the first time somebody that we care for betrays us a level of trauma that we now carry with us for the rest of our lives into newer relationships. Increasingly, some clinicians use the term post infidelity stress syndrome or PISD to describe this response. Now, while PISD is not an official diagnosis, the symptoms strongly mirror those of recognized conditions like post traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, or depression, because people often experience intrusive thoughts, audience of remembers, I'm sorry, avoidance of reminders because I don't want to see pictures of him. It reminds me of the past, stuff to that effect, you know, and emotional numbness where you feel absolutely nothing for what happened. And a lot of times you feel absolutely nothing going into other interactions to prevent yourself from feeling the wrong feeling, right? The trauma isn't just a single event, but the horror of discovering that you were living in an unsafe world for months or even years without knowing it. The brain's memory system can become so overwhelmed that the discovery doesn't feel like a past event, but a raw, present moment. Now, this has long term consequences. Now, the lesson that your brain often learns isn't just this person is unsafe, but my ability to detect danger is broken. And that's why many people either become hyper controlling, which is trying to audit every detail, or hyper avoidant, which is choosing shallow connection over deep connections. Both are attempts to reassert control over the world that has proven itself rigid. So once the game has been exposed, the big question is, what do we do now? And can a relationship built on lies ever become honest? Steven says, I have post bad Chinese food distress disorder. I fear new all you can eat buffets. I don't know, man. I've heard the rumors from Golden Corral, and I still will go to a buffet if I can find one for certain things. I know that I've been to a Chinese restaurant where the buffet wasn't satisfactory, but I still, if I could find another Chinese restaurant somewhere else, I could see myself going to a different buffet. Now, I know that I personally do not like the serve yourself buffet. Um, that's something that I have been avoiding for a long period of time. And the reason why I avoid the serve yourself buffet is because, I mean, Americans are nasty. So, and I'm an American. So, so that doesn't exclude me, but Americans are nasty. So, you know, not everybody washes their hands before they go over there and start touching the food, and then they don't um, prioritize cleanliness from the staff. So, too many people touch the tongs. You've got their germs on your hand. You touch your food. So, I like the buffets where it's an all you can eat buffet that comes straight from the kitchen. So the only people that touched the plate was the people who cooked the food and the people who brought it to my table. The only people who were over my food, which ultimately means that it's the one server that's coming to my table and the 1 to 5 cooks in the kitchen. That's like the only people that's come in contact with the food. That I'm okay with, buffet style. But like Pizza Hut, salad bar, nah, I'm not fucking with that. He said, maybe we should not have high expectations for each other, and then we won't get hurt when the inevitable happens. Well, that's also a byproduct of constantly being let down. The first and foremost, we are supposed to make sure that we have a reasonable level of non-negotiable expectations for behavior, but it has to be reasonable. Okay, like Steven does have a reasonable expectation that his girlfriend can have a social life, a platonic social life, but he would have that expectation under the dynamic and observation that it's going to be strictly platonic, that she will still prioritize him over other people, but even him can understandably admit that if the situation turned out that he was in a relationship with a person where she then decided to prioritize somebody else over him, even if she's not sleeping with that guy, if his girlfriend is prioritizing somebody else, he's not going to tolerate that type of interaction. And we have to recognize that in our lives, it is natural to prioritize your relationship, your new relationship after your family. But your new relationship becomes your permanent relationship, like going from dating to marriage. Once your boyfriend or girlfriend becomes your fiance, your relationship prioritized over your family, right? When you decide I'm starting a family with this person becomes my priority. They get elevated from number two to number one, right? But if your husband or wife is in the top three important things in your life, and then you know, uh, uh, Jake from State Farm comes out of nowhere and goes from being non-existent to number two or number one, right above the husband. That's, even if it's strictly platonic, that's inappropriate behavior. It's not supposed to happen that way. You know, you are not supposed to have more value in someone else outside of your dominant relationship than what you have with the person in your relationship. So, unrealistic expectations is saying that you are not allowed to socialize with anybody of the opposite sex. That's unrealistic expectations. And if you set that bar, which a lot of women do, if he communicates with another woman, help her get something off the shelf, pick up her purse off the ground, open a door for her, he's now being put into a category of being unfaithful or potentially capable of unfaithful behavior, where now she's disciplining him for interacting with somebody in public, which is an unrealistic expectation that he as a man should be allowed to interact with people in public, right? So I don't think that we should not have high expectations. I believe that we should have more realistic expectations because when you gauge it as either high expectations or low expectations, you have to recognize where the middle ground is. Where is neutral, normal, mutual expectations supposed to be at? Because we don't actually talk about this in a relationship. We don't talk about from the first date, we have your likes and dislikes. What do you call fun? And where do you work and how long do you work so that I can figure out when I can spend time with you? That's pretty much all we do. Then after that, what responsibilities do you have to deal with so that I can determine if I can deal with those with you? And that's how we slide into moving into one another's houses. But when we discuss exclusivity, the only thing we discuss is the title. Are we boyfriend girlfriend now? Are we exclusive now? And it goes without saying by default, all of what is defined as being exclusive. But we never ever talk about that. We don't talk about, like, well, yeah, expectedly monogamy, so I'm only supposed to sleep with you. But we don't discuss that if I want it and you don't, uh, which one of us is going to have to make that compromise? And how often are you going to tell me no? And how often are you going to allow me to do it, even if you don't feel like doing it, in order for us to find a balance? If my drive is higher than yours, how often are you going to leave me stuck out if you expect me to only get it from you? We don't have those conversations, right? If I want kids and you don't, how are we going to make this work? Because if I want kids and you don't, eventually either I'm going to adopt or I'm going to get somebody pregnant because the goal is that I want kids, but you don't. We don't talk about these things. We sweep it under the rug because she's put her flag down and said no. And because he's a consistent sex partner, he's going to say, well, I'm going to flex on my expectation and not talk about it for right now because I got a companion that's a consistent sex partner. But we never actually have the open communication and a logistical dialogue where we write down everything that we agree to and everything that we disagree to, where we have, like we said in the girlfriend contract, a standard of performance that is detailed to the magnitude. And I know that if you watch Big Bang Theory, the way Sheldon has the roommate contract, and he can cite specific clauses from specific pages in the contract where they agree to treat each other a certain way, which allows them to function in a mutually respectable scenario where we don't have to fight about it. All I have to do is just mention paragraph A, section 4, you agreed. That's it. Problem solved. Well, shit, I agreed. So I have to behave this way, right? Steven says, I ain't that special. Other times people can be prioritized as long as it ain't physically cheating. I'm cool. You say that, Stephen, but that's not the case. That is not the case. If you had something important going on and you wanted to share it with your girlfriend, and she decided that she was going to go hang out and have coffee with some guy, you would feel bad about that. You wouldn't say anything about it, but you'd feel betrayed about that. It's almost like when we were kids and we had soccer practice or football practice or some shit like that, and Dad said that he was going to come and watch us play. Dad didn't come. That same level of betrayal is going to be the same thing because they prioritized something other than us when they gave us their word that they were going to prioritize us. So while you claim that you would not feel some kind of way about the fact that someone else got priority over you. And when we talk about priority over you, you could think of it minimalistically, like, I want you to hang out on the couch with me, but your friend's having a baby kind of thing. Yeah, you prioritize that. But let's say I want to take you out on a date. you are going to go bowling with this guy. You're my girlfriend. I want to take you out and spend time with you, but you're going to tell me no because you've already made plans with another man. That's unacceptable. And no man is going to literally tolerate that no matter what is said. If you were in the dating phase and she has canceled on you because 3 or 4 times because she's got something going on where she's going somewhere with some other dude, you are ultimately going to chalk this up as a failed attempt. You're not going to keep pursuing that girl. You're not going to say, oh, well, I can be boyfriend number two. No. If she's going to be your number one, you're definitively going to expect her to have you as her number one. He's in a certain situation, to be clear, not all the time. Right. So some of the time, you're going to expect to be prioritized. And if you don't prioritize during those scenarios, you're going to be like, hey, what the fuck is up with your relationship with that guy? Because even if you're not sleeping with him, you're giving him way more attention than what you're giving me. Say, for example, y'all are supposed to be going to bed. Dude calls at 2 o'clock in the morning. He gets up, leaves the room. She's on the phone with this guy for 2 hours. Then she comes back to bed. Every man that heard that scenario is going to be like, oh, hell no. If that ain't her family member, that's some bullshit. And if it is her family member, I'm going to check that man in the morning because that's some bullshit. You got to recognize. Is that isn't that what the Muslims do? No interaction between the sexes outside of the family. For the most part, yes. A woman talks to another woman about what her husband needs to know. A man will talk to another man about what his wife needs to know. Um, they outside of if they have to interact with sales in the market, there is no interactions. So there's no girls' night out where they're doing shots with the guys at the bar. There's no guys' night out where they're um, out there, strategically going places where they can interact with extra women. No, they have a code of ethics where I interact with my homies and my woman, or my multiple women if I have multiple wives. And the women only interact with other women. They don't interact with any of the men. But even in Muslim culture, the women are clothed, not just clothed, like cloaked. you know, so you can't even tell what they look like. They can be attractive or they can be busted. You won't know. You can't even tell what kind of teeth they got. The most you get is their eyes. That's it, right? In America, you got the camel toe showing, you got the nipple showing, you got everything, you got the butt crack showing. They now make the pants designed in a way where the seam drives right through the butt crack so that you can get an emphasis on the butt crack. I don't understand why. I know that, yeah, it's desirable and guys can look at it and drool and fantasize, potentially hit on the girl with hopes of being able to smash that girl. But the truth of the matter is that that's not the way you would want your wife to dress, and it's not the way you would want the mother of your children to dress. That is not the way you would want your daughter to dress. So why condone that type of behavior in society? That's just, observation. Now, first thing that we need to pay attention to, and this is going to be critical to understand, that the immediate need isn't for trust when we start talking about the betrayal of trust. It's actually for safety. Trust is a high level calculation that a betrayed person's nervous system simply can't make right now. So asking them just to trust again after being betrayed is like asking someone with a broken leg to run a marathon. It's insulting to the injured. You know, Safety is a more primal and achievable goal. So emotional safety begins when the cheating partner completely abandons the rigged game and joins the betrayed partner in their reality. Now, this means that there's no more gaslighting, no more minimizing, no more blame shifting. It requires radical, brutal honesty. So they may take full ownership and be willing to answer every painful question as many times as it's asked. Now, this isn't about punishment. It's about the betrayed partner trying to piece together an accurate timeline of their own life. And every single piece of uh, trickle down truth, which is a lie only admitted to when the president, the individual presented the evidence. So this is like she's been cheating forever. She's never admitted it. But like cheaters, when you put the photos on the table, then she comes out clean. Like, if you didn't catch me, I ain't admitting shit. Type of deception. That's what we're talking about right here. This is going to be a fresh betrayal and the proof that the game is still rigged. Right now, logistical safety is just as crucial. Now, this involves creating a new environment of transparency. For the cheating partner, this can be tough because as it means that they're going to be giving up the control that they held during the affair. It means ending all contact with the affair partner, period. No questions asked, no negotiations. Some couples find it helpful to create temporary transparency by sharing access to the devices, schedules, and finances, GPS signals on one another and shit. This isn't about creating a permanent surveillance state, but it's about providing the external evidence of trustworthiness that you have to regain from that person that the betrayed partner's um, internal system can no longer generate on its own. Now, trust isn't rebuilt with grand gestures like diamonds and roses. It's going to be built with the slow accumulation of hundreds and hundreds of small, consistent, honest actions. And it's going to be like Solomon. After an extended period of time of fucking up, every time it looks like you might be fucking up, even if you're not fucking up, they're going to accuse you of fucking up. And you have to take that because that's the consequences of you fucking up in the past. For couples who try to rebuild, they aren't repairing the old relationship. That relationship is dead. It was killed by the deception. I mean, the only path forward is to start a brand new relationship built on painful honesty. Now, this is going to require renegotiating the contract, making all the implicit rules explicit. So it's not going to go without saying. We're going to fucking say it this time. Some couples even find it useful to create a written fidelity agreement, which, interesting enough, I should probably create one of those and throw it into the membership. But as a shared manual, this is what they're going to be using for their new partnership. Some cases, couples radically redesign the structure itself, moving towards very explicit, non negotiable expectations for behavior, or even in rare cases, negotiated non monogamy, not because anything goes, but because nothing happens in secret anymore. So, I mean, if we're in that kind of relationship where we're not satisfying each other, you need to be satisfied. We're going to stay together, and I'm going to allow you to sleep with other people. If we talk about it ahead of time, you're getting consent for the affair before the affair occurs, where the relationship is still going to be maintained. In some dynamics, this does occur. A lot of times it happens or catastrophic changes in health conditions where performance is no longer there. No, that's not simp behavior, Brute. Okay, so when if you experience a situation where you no longer can perform, junk don't work no more. But you're dating a 24-year-old. She ain't gonna leave you, but she still got to get hers. You're not gonna call that simp behavior. I know some people might call it simp behavior, but wait. Let's flip the script. Let's flip the script. Let's flip the script. Uh, wife's got chemo. She don't feel like doing nothing. It's been like 2, 3 years. She gonna let you do you, but you just got to give it a heads up. There are some relationships out there where If I know that I can't provide you with the emotional intimacy that you need to maintain this relationship, I'm going to maintain the emotional, but I can't maintain the physical. Then I'm going to authorize you to sustain yourself externally of this relationship as long as there is transparency involved with that transaction. There are a lot of relationships that exist that way. It's something when I could have done it for you, but you're choosing to get it from someone else, and I'm just going to let it happen that way, like dating an OnlyFans girl or a porn star. That's simping. Uh, but no, a lot of the times there's a situation that happens, but that makes no sense because you say, well, break it off at that point. Okay, so when you're 76 years old, you've been with this girl since you were 30. You're 76 years old. You can't do it the way you used to do it no more. The blue pill is not in your best interest. Doctor said probably shouldn't use that. Right? Your performance is no longer there. The most y'all can do is hang out and talk about how good total is. Now, she's past menopause. Her drive is high. You might say, hey, go ahead and knock it back with the pool boy. Some guys do that. You're not going to divorce your wife and let's just be friends because my junk doesn't work anymore. You guys have an extensive history together. Marriages and extensive 5, 10, 15, 20 year long relationships typically have compromises that occurs due to circumstances that are beyond the control of the individuals inside of the relationship. For example, you want to have kids, she wants to have kids, but somewhere along the lines, you find out that she can't produce them. Yeah, you can do the in vitro, and yeah, you could do the surrogate individual. But if you discussed it with her because y'all had talked about a natural birth, a natural creation of life situation, uh, y'all might actually agree to you getting another girl pregnant and then keeping a kid. Not everybody's going to say, "Oh, I'm down for that." But if she knows that she wanted to be the mother and she wanted you to be the father of the child and she can't produce a child for you, if she is going to flex on her expectations of monogamy in a relationship to allow you to create the child so that y'all can have the child that she can't give the relationship, then those are the type of decisions that you guys make openly and honestly inside of the relationship. So you don't just break up. So you're thinking from the mentality of, well, I can probably outdo any frat boy. So my girl's always going to get satisfied. If she's going to go and get it from somebody else, the relationship dead. But you got to think about what happens if you've been dating this girl for so many years, so many decades. Y'all got kids together that's going to college. That y'all done had half your life together or a quarter of your life together, and at this point, things have changed. One of y'all can't do what y'all used to be able to do. This isn't the moment to say, oh, the relationship is done. You guys negotiate and try to figure something else out. The core is going to shift from implicit expectations or asymmetric rules to explicit symmetric rules, where you guys are going to agree on the dynamic of how y'all are going to interact with one another or allow each other to interact outside of a relationship. Because polygamy relationships comes from both in a relationship agreeing that a third person will be allowed in a relationship. So more often than not, one guy and two girls, but a lot of times there's one girl and two guys, and everybody's okay with that in that particular group. The healing process after something like this happens is going to be very slow and it's not going to be a linear. Triggers will happen, as I explained earlier, and a useful framework for these cheating partners in those moments could be uh, empathizing, reassurance, and reporting. You empathize with the feelings because I understand and uh, when you couldn't reach me that it brought all the fear back. Reassurance with the commitment. I'm here and we're in this together now. And then report the facts clearly. My phone died, you know, here's my call log. I was at the grocery store. This process allows for it to rekindle and rebuild what was torn down. But this process can take years after infidelity occurs. And for many, the game can never truly be reset. If the cheating partner is unwilling or unable to provide the level of safety needed, or if the betrayal is part of a larger pattern of disrespect, then trying to rebuild isn't just futile, it can be dangerous. You have that person that never talks to you with respect. They always talk down to you, they always devalue you. Now they cheating on you. You just know this is not going to work out. In those cases, the only winning move is to refuse to play the game. You walk away, just like Steven said, you walk away from the rigged game because that's not a failure. It's an act of profound self preservation because you understand that you're not going to benefit from staying in this, where you reclaim your power and decide that you will no longer allow your reality to be defined by someone else's perceptions. Navigating the aftermath of betrayal can be one of the most isolating experiences in the world. So, if any of the information that we were talking about today helps you uh, put words to something that you felt but couldn't name, uh, make sure that you guys take time to stick around for conversations like this where we explore the psychology of these relationships. And because we learn from each other, make sure that you guys share your perspectives the way Steve has been doing in the comments today. And then, have you seen reality shift in your relationship, in anybody's relationship? Make sure that you share your stories because this is how we dismantle the shame that thrives in the shadows when we experience unhealthy engagements in relationships. Cheating doesn't just strain trust, it proves that the foundational promise of the relationship, which is we live in the same world by the same rules, was a lie. And this is why the wound is so deep. You aren't just healing from a broken heart, you're healing from a broken reality. Now, the journey forward is going to be about more than just deciding whether to forgive. The most critical task is to rebuild the trust in yourself, trust in your perception, in your intuition, and your right to exist in a reality that is honest and consensual. Now, whether you walk away from the table or try to build a new game with the transparent rules, ultimately the goal is going to be the same: reclaiming your own story. You didn't consent to the rig game, you didn't agree to have your past rewritten. And while you didn't choose to have your reality shattered, you now hold the power to decide what your reality will be from the day that this experience happened going forward. So you can choose a reality where your feelings are valid, where your perception is trustworthy, and where you are the sole author of your story. That is going to be the game that you can't lose. So I told you we were coming from a completely different perspective than where we were the last time we covered a topic similar to this. Um, and this goes far and above, like I told you before, far and above actual physical intimacy. This level of betrayal, this level of trustworthiness violations can occur in other areas of life in your relationships when you are performing a task that you're not supposed to perform, when you're covering up a situation that your partner should know about but you don't feel comfortable with telling them, when you are dealing with, because we have financial infidelity when the money isn't being spent the way it's supposed to be spent, you're not telling your partner what's going on. When you have information that your partner is supposed to have for you to both be on the same page and you deliberately withhold that information, escape the issue, or provide a false narrative to deflect from the problem so that you don't have to go over the problem with your partner, those issues are issues that are levels of betrayal. not just actual cheating by the sociological definition of cheating, which is either physical or emotional infidelity. It's a true dynamic of betrayal and the violation of trust with your decision making skills that goes against my expectation of your decision making skills. I thought you would have made better decisions than the ones that you're making, or I thought you would have made different decisions than the ones that you're making because you might have not have made a bad choice. You just made a choice that I didn't think you would make, which compromises my ability to count on your decision making skills because I no longer believe that I know what you're thinking. I no longer can trust in my expectations, my assumptions of your performance. When our relationship changes from me being able to set the watch to what I know that you're going to do or what I think that you're going to do to me guessing, I went from being certain to being unsure. And it's happening due to a lack of information. And that lack of information is due to a lack of communication. Now, that is the types of betrayal and trust across the board in a relationship that could cause a relationship to fail without actual violations of physical intimacy or actual violations of emotional intimacy, because that betrayal can come everywhere, right? So you have to really pay attention to how you do what you do and then how you communicate what you did with your partner. I always say that if you can't tell your partner what you did in confidence, and what you tell them doesn't destroy your relationship, if that can't happen, then I can't do the action. Because some people are heartless. Oh yeah, I slept with three girls yesterday. If that's gonna lead to a breakup, bro, then at the end of the day, you can't go into that room. If I open the door and three people in there ain't got their clothes on, I know, regardless of what I would have done, I know I'm supposed to close that door and walk away. Because if I was to tell this story to my girl, the first thing she's gonna do is flip out because I went into the room. Not because I did anything, but because of what she thinks might would have happened when I went in the room. So the logic behind the nobility, and it's a self-proclaimed nobility, is I'm not going to do anything that would indirectly or directly violate my partner's trust in me. Likewise, a partner in a position where they will be tempted to violate my trust in me. Now, that is going to be the level that answers FX Trader's question about not having high levels of expectations for other people so that you don't get disappointed. You're ultimately deciding to say, hey, instead of me sending my girlfriend to the gym to go and pick up my brother, where she's about to walk into a room full of men, I might send my girlfriend to go and get my sister from a baby shower, and I go to the gym and get my brother from the room full of men instead of my girlfriend sending me to go in and pick up her mom from a book club with all of these other chicks. She can go and get her mom from the book club with all these other chicks, and I'll go pick up her dad from the hardware store. Instead of putting your partner in a position where temptation could occur, like letting your hot sister spend the night at your house while you work overnight. No, we'll get you a hotel. You don't put temptation in your relationship so that you don't have to test the faith of your partner. And as a partner, you don't allow that faith to be tempted because you always behave the way you guys mutually discuss needs to be for you guys need to behave. Now, debriefing is always a good thing because I mean, if you're in a situation where you're having these conversations with your partner and you're letting your partner know how you feel about being in the same room with other individuals, what you think about certain types of interactions, you know, you guys are able to reassess as your relationship progresses what dynamic needs to change in order for y'all to function efficiently without stepping on each other's emotional toes. Gotta say, every relationship requires some level of communication, and it requires some level of negotiation. And if it doesn't have that, right, that's where relationships start to fail, where partners start believing, it's not what I thought it was because we didn't talk about it. So that's all I got for you guys for tonight. I got a lot of stuff coming up for the next few weeks. Y'all know. So remember, today is Thursday night, Friday morning. By Sunday, you should see Monday up there because I do Mondays the week of. But all the rest of the days are already advanced posted. Make sure that you hit the notification buttons for the next like 10 to 15 days, excluding Mondays, because Mondays go up the weekend before the show, so that we're talking about late breaking information. And then hit that notification on your Monday, before Monday, so that you can have your Monday night notification. Also, if you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel, make sure that you like the channel and subscribe to the channel. And then, take some time to go and take a look at the membership because we got a lot of information in there, and I'm adding so much extra stuff in there. Um, Most days out of the week, I want to say every day, but there are some times where there's extra stuff that I wasn't expecting to take care of that I have to take care of, and I end up not adding as many notations into the membership like I want to add in there. So we have a lot of stuff to add because I got the last 6 months worth of stuff that I'm putting in there, and then the new information that we go over on a day-to-day basis. So you will be seeing a lot of releases. We had a lot of releases happen over the last couple of weeks. So double check what's in there, and everything's archived. So you can go back several years and see stuff from several years ago that's still archived, is still accessible, hot links that still work, so that you guys can get the information that I have been developing a just about an entire uh, uh, almost like a Wikipedia page of knowledge and information that you guys can utilize directly from my platform to aid you in your ability to be successful. So, with that being said, I do appreciate everybody who's still falling into the show right now. I want to thank you guys for coming to this and that. Before we go, we're going to start by saying, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, we're going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So, ladies, please make it make sense. Fellas, this information is very important, and it's designed to help you guys become higher value men, not just by helping you guys improve your financial life, but also to help you guys to improve your personal decision making skills, because the things that you do in your personal life actually impacts your money. And I try to give you guys a lot of information for you guys to proactively put effort into paying attention to the things that are inside of your control, and then changing the things that you don't like that's inside of your control. Then you're able to navigate around the things that are outside of your control, right? So when you do this, you find yourself in a better way of life. Now, ladies, this is a male driven podcast from the male's perspective. And I know that a lot of ladies are like, man, this guy, relationship topic. Look, ladies, you too can become higher value women by prioritizing your 20 and 30-year plan, taking the information that I'm giving them in and applying it to your own lives, because this is universal. Men do what I was talking about today just the same way that women do what I'm talking about today, and you guys can benefit from this. So focus on your 20 and 30-year plan, reverse engineer what you got to do today, and then stay fast on that plan and that goal. Then we want to talk about, he said freedom men. That's cute. Hold on, hold on. I'll try not to push the wrong button here. He said freedom men. Uh, um, where was I on that? Yes, ladies, while you're working on your 20 and 30-year plan, if you keep your eyes and ears open for the potential suitors that have the right characteristics and personality, then you can pay attention to the drive, ambition, dedication, motivation, admiration, and integrity of the man as he achieves his own goals, right? You guys will come to find out that when you stop paying attention to the Miss America pageant answers, oh, good future, blah, 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 and literally have somebody who detailed, mapped out their life, where they plan on being, and what they're doing to get there, you find that you have more driven futures in a lot of different people, as opposed to I'm just making it up as I go along. When you find a person with the right structure, you find the ability to make yourselves more successful more effectively, which then allows you to put yourself in a position where you're no longer struggling, right? Because if you guys were able to mesh well with your goals. Your goals don't have to be in the exact same field. They just have to be heading in the same direction. Long-term satisfaction over short-term gratification is supposed to be your goals, right? So if you're capable of finding the right partner where y'all both have long-term satisfaction goals, you guys can achieve each other's goals a whole lot faster than trying to knock this out on your own. And I tell ladies on a regular basis that a person that's on your level is somebody who can do for you exactly the same thing that you could have done for yourself, right? And you want to find somebody that is perceivably on your level. That is going to be the most efficient way to be successful. Because when you can step away from your responsibilities because your partner's got it, now you can prioritize your ability to build generational wealth with your partner. And I tell you guys on a regular basis that two people can make it to $1 million faster than one, but it requires both of you to have the same drive to head in the same direction. Can't have two captains on the same ship. One has to lead and the other has to follow. Doesn't matter which one, right? We can take turns. Either way, we have to recognize that you can't have two leaders at the same time calling plays because you're not going to be heading in the same direction. So with that being said, I'm going to tell you guys one more time. Thank you guys for coming to this and that. We're going to start off with special shout out and special thanks to Steven, FX Trader, Claudia, Michael, OG Kicks, Joe Jack. I really appreciate you guys for diving into the show. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I will see you guys tomorrow night.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. Standing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. I'm not landing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.